Hey, I'm here at my potting bench, and I'm going to be getting some potting soil or what I'm going to use as a seed starting mix ready for putting in cell trays so that I can plant some onions and then other things as well. So I was just using kind of like a Miracle Grow potting mix. I'm using now I'm switching over to like something that is more commonly used as a seed starting mix. This is this is something that I just found at a big box store. It was on sale actually, quite a good deal in my area for what I got it for. Um, and we'll see. Hopefully, I think we'll see if it has fewer of the fungus or kind of damping off or fungus gnat problems. I was watching a video with, I think it was the Millennial Gardener the other day, who pointed out that they did this whole video on the fact that if you just use kind of regular potting mix, you're going to create kind of the fungus gnat damping off problem. And I certainly have seen that in mine. I've actually just I've used potting mix that has been locally made for outdoors from where I get my soil and my compost and amendments and stuff. If you've watched other videos of mine, you may have heard me talk about Grimm's fuel. I've used that and mixed it with perlite and things and then just thrown it in and used it as my indoor mix as well. And they don't recommend that, by the way. So nothing on Grimm's. I just have done that because I could buy it at scale. And so I do get fungus gnats. I do get damping off, but the way in the video that the Millennial Gardener was describing it was as if it was like it was going to kill everything and we wouldn't have anything whatsoever. And that's not really been my experience. I guess every environment's different. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so maybe we just have less of that here. But it's like I definitely get it. It sometimes ruins something, but it doesn't ruin most of it. And so um, yeah, I I'm starting seeds at such a scale that I can't afford to do kind of more of a professionalized sterile mix necessarily. Although that might be what this is because it says it's for both indoor and outdoor use. I'm not really sure. And certainly the idea that I'm going to go bake all my soil in the oven is out of the question. So I just rather start a lot of seedlings and lose some percentage of those is actually fine with me. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is planting some onions. These are Barolo storage onions. For our climate, we're looking for long day, or for our zone, I should say, we're looking for long day onions. These are from Territorial Seed. Now it is mid-January, so planting onions from seed it's a little bit late. Normally, I'd like to have these done either by the beginning of January or ideally even mid-December. But we'll see. I think it might still work if I can get these grown up and indoors under lights and get them big enough and strong enough, and then before I put out, then I might still get some onions here. I do have other onions I already planted. I already planted some Walla Wallas and some shallots, but these are a red onion. So I like to plant the Walla Walla, a red onion, some shallots, and then just kind of your scallions and stuff over time. So let's do that. I'm going to grab a tray and start filling my cell trays with this seed starting stuff that I got here, and we'll go from there. Now, potting, even though I'm potting outside, the after I get these potted up, these are going to go under the lights in the garage. So this will go indoors, and so my trays for indoors are ones without holes in them. And then I have these plastic 6 cell trays that I reuse for years and years until they just start to fall apart, and then I throw them out. But these are not at that point yet. I've done a whole lot. I didn't do anything to clean these trays. I'm lazy, so I'm just throwing them in here and calling it good. And more of that. Okay. Now I'm going to put some gloves on, just because I don't always feel like I need gloves for this activity, but it's cold out here and my hands are going to get cold playing in the damp seed mix here. Not everyone does it the same way, but you'll see I just fill them up and level it off like this. I don't pack it in. I'm not growing plants to maturity or anything here. This is just a medium to germinate and get things kind of started before they're going to be ready to go outside or pot it up. The onions like this I won't pot up to another container, but you'll see later in the season that I start my tomatoes this way, and those I would start in the same kind of cell trays, and then I'll pot up. So I'll pot up into, usually I pot them up into like red Solo cups actually. So anyway, my point is that especially in that case, I mean, it really, having lots of soil or nutrients in there really matters even less, because it's not going to stay in there. It's getting germinated in there. But these onions, they will stay in here for a while, so it doesn't need any fertilizer to germinate. And then once it's germinated, if the plant or the seedling is not looking like it's getting any kind of nutrition whatsoever, then I can always supplement. Okay, so here we are. So my next step is I am going to plant my seedlings. I kind of oriented the trays where normally I have them oriented the other way. You can orient them this way, you can orient them that way, but that's fine. This is fine because I'm going to do probably the whole tray of the onions depending on how many seeds are in there. So this is the way I do most seeds. I'm going to first start by just making an indentation with my fingers in here. Onion seeds, allium seeds across the board are generally very small seeds, so I make my indentation. You could make holes, put your seeds in, and then kind of cover it up, right? You fall with what's already in here. You could certainly do that. I just have taken to the practice of I make my indentation, I drop the seed in there, and then I take some more of this and I sprinkle it on top as my coverage. When I go to actually working with the seeds, I take my gloves off because they're really small and I need the tactile feel of the seed in my hand. Tried those little like cedar contraptions. It doesn't really work for me, so I just do it by hand. See, there's a lot of seeds in there. Okay. And just for good measure, I'm going to aim for getting 2 in each cell, and so if 2 actually germinate, then eventually I'll kill one to make space for the other, but, that's part of the dealing with there's not going to be perfect germination usually. not saying anything about territory. Maybe the germination, I should give them more credit. Maybe I should just have more faith. But I don't need to, as a practical matter. I mean, there's so many seeds here. I have enough that I can do this, and so I do. The other thing I would on this is that, well, I try to get only 2 in there. Sometimes, my fingers might get a little bit more, so I err on the side of it. If I got 3 in there, oh well, no big deal. If I think I only got 1 in there, I'll go back and put another one in usually. I'm not very precise about it. In fact, if I get towards the end and I'm running out of seeds, then I'll start putting just 1 in order to stretch the amount of seed that I have, just so I can fill out the rest of the tray. Because one thing that is easier if you are going to plant at a scale that supports this is to have 1 tray of just one thing. Otherwise, I'm making multiple labels, which I can do, and I do. I mean, because I'm not going to have, when I grow tomatoes, for example, I mentioned those earlier. Tomatoes will take up a fair amount of space in my small garden, and so I'm not going to grow a full tray of just one kind of tomato. I'll start maybe 1/6 cell, maybe just 6 of one variety, and so I will have a lot of tags going on at some point. But for these onions, I can grow a lot of onions. I like to grow a lot of onions, garlic, shallots, and what I do is I just space them out throughout the entire garden, so I don't just grow them in one area. And I, just from different things I heard and read, I had the sense that might create some amount of pest confusion. And so far when I've done that, I think it is true. I think that not growing a bunch of stuff all in just one area and spreading out where I'm growing things. So, I mean, I do that with everything. If I'm growing broccoli, I don't grow the broccoli all in just one area. I grow 1 broccoli here and 1 broccoli there and so on. So, I mean, my garden doesn't look that uniform, but I think it does create some amount of pest confusion. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm full of it, but that doesn't help anything. But it seems like it does. Just one guy's anecdotal thoughts that it might. I'm actually going to use the dry stuff to sprinkle on top here because it's easier to put a little bit of amount on. And these are very small seeds, so you can look at the seed packet and it'll tell you like what the depth should be. But generally speaking, you can kind of, at this point, having done this for over a decade, I can kind of eyeball it in terms of the size of the seed. And because the onion seed is so small, I know it just needs a light covering. The amount, the depth at which you bury a seed is related usually to the size of the seed. I say usually, I don't know if that's scientifically true across the board, but usually that's the case. And so I know with those teeny weeny onion seeds, I just have to sprinkle some around on top here and call it good. Now, what I'll do is, for the sake of my back of not having to carry this down full of water, I'll actually take this down to the garage and put it in the, put it under the lights, and then I will bring a watering can and bottom water, fill the bottom of this tray with some water available to it so it can suck up, because I got this soil moist, but not completely, like, it's not totally damp or saturated, and so that'll give it some opportunity to make sure it has enough water for the next week or so I'm not having to constantly water it. Okay, so these are another thing that I reuse. I don't know. Seems like they make I don't know where I get these. I've gotten these at the past off like Amazon, but I have hundreds of them now that I'm just reusing, so I haven't bought any in a while. I felt like they were just like recycling old plastic. Like that'd be like a good business, right? Like if you could take like old yogurt cups and turn them into these plastic labels or whatever. I mean, they kind of feel like they're that flimsy. So I'm just making that up, though. I don't know how they actually do that. Okay, so let's see here. Barlow onion. And today is, oh geez, I don't know. I think it's let's say it's the 16th. 26. Okay, so that's how I do it. I'm pretty simple with my labeling. There, date, done. Gonna drop that in there. And then I want to get a humidity dome. Humidity dome over it. And now I'll have you walk with me. So that's only one tray. I still have more seed here. In the old days when I had a bigger garden, I'd plant this whole thing no matter what, right? But that's a lot of onions for my small garden. So you know, whether I really have space for all that is questionable. So I'm not going to plant all these. I'm going to stick them back in my storage cabinet. Let's put that in my pocket. And away we go. All right, heading down to the garage to put the and you'll see here that part of the garden is under construction. I think as I'm building out this smaller garden to give myself space, it'll be under construction for next 18 to 24 months probably. But this part of it here, I'm putting in a retaining wall here. And yeah, don't judge my piling dirt around the tree. It's just because I didn't have anywhere to stick that dirt, and it won't be there forever. I'll get it out, don't worry. This is the east beds here, super slope, east side of the garden. Coming over close to kind of my garage office door. Over here, then come over here to the sink, and I'm going to get my my watering can ready so I can fill up the this is to fill up the tray for those onions. Keep them watered. Okay, I'll turn that off and I'll meet you by the racks. Okay, so here you'll see my onions going under the lights here. Then let's put some water in that tray there. Yeah, I just saw something fly around. Yeah. Okay. All right, there we go. And you can see here I've already got other things kind of started. These are artichokes here. Those are some shallots and some Walla Walla onions there. And you can see some beets. And so, yeah, I think this might be some failed germination here due to either some dampening off or something. It looks like also this is getting dry, so I'm going to come put some water in here. All right, well, thanks for joining me in this mid-January afternoon, weekend afternoon, and that's me planting some onions. And yeah, maybe not super exciting, but hey, it's January, so planting anything is kind of exciting, right? Okay, I will see you all later. Bye.